Three, two.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, once again to Dynamos Dozen, the podcast that we bring you each and every single week, where we talk about whatever may be on our minds from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, muesli, and fresh shocks and jocks, and everything in between. Never forgetting the talc. And you know what? We are in the season where you should also never forget your hot water bottle because it is Baltic over here in Ireland. It is winter version 3.0. And then again, is it never winter in Ireland, to be fair? But we hope that you're all doing well. You are welcome back to another live episode of Dynamos Dozen with me, your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and of course, Niall, the shopkeeper Hogan. But before you go and even think about asking any questions or wonder what we're going to be talking about today, even though you can see it in the description down there, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, smash that bell notification button, and make sure that you're commenting on these videos and letting us know that you're there to support us, because we can see plenty of you do. We just never hear from a lot of you. So why not let us know who you are? Show your face.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Please don't be shy. So Niall, how are we? We didn't do a recording last week. Obviously, I'm in the midst of selling a house at the moment and all that good stuff slash bad stuff. But we did get a recording last week with the great Finlay Martin, which you weren't able to attend. And we will be putting that probably out as a bonus episode, I reckon, tomorrow or Thursday. It's there in the can ready. So as soon as you give me the go ahead after tonight's show, I will put it out anytime you want. I have it ready to go. Good little show, and it will kind of coincide into a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight, I'm sure, as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. Our brother in arms is in the comments, Cheapy Productions podcast, wondering if you are still hungover. I believe you had a good night out at the weekend, from what I heard.
myself and the boy himself, Morris, GP Productions Shortall. Yeah, we had a very good night out on Friday for a mutual friend's 40th birthday. I shared a scoop or two with the road dog, Mr. Jay Kennedy, and he was asking
Nice.
for all of our listeners out there. And of course, he was asking for you, Noel. That goes without saying. But we shared, let's say, one too many beverages, but not in a bad way. It was okay. I'm not too hungover, Morris. I'm all good. Even though I'm getting up there in age, it's only a 2 day hangover now, so I'm all right. I'm all right today.
Well, it's we've plenty to talk about today. Some decent headlines out there and stuff like that. A couple of well wishes have to be put out there as well. It's quite I don't know what it is about the weather at the moment. I think have the season shifted through the months or something like that, and has winter become sort of January, February, March or something like that. But the beast
Something
from
weird
the east
happened.
apparently is on the way, and we're not talking about Brock Lesnar. We're talking about the beast from the east is on the way. And it's going to be supposed to be hitting us this weekend with dropping temperatures and potentially heavy snow and everything and all for March. Where would you dream of it? Where would you dream of it? Let's get into the show. We're going to be talking about the road to WrestleMania as well and truly on the way, even if some of it seems a little bit bewildering and a bit sort of weird, but we'll get into that, no doubt. But we'll start off with one Dominic Mysterio, 1/4 of Judgment Day is where we start. Um, he was discussing the angle back in 2005, the storyline we all remember. I'm your pappy, who was the dad of this guy and all this kind of thing. And he gave an insight into it where he said that the reactions when he was on that the cheap. The man is in the comments. Cheap Heat. Remember that show that Eddie used to do? It was kind of like the Miz's show and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Dominic's reactions out there, he was saying they were very real because he was never prepped for it. So when Eddie was screaming at him and stuff like that, he actually was in fear of his life and stuff like that. It was actually real reactions that were coming out there. So it was an interesting insight into that angle that no one gave him the heads up. They just put him out there. And that's the way it went. I have the little fella here with me at the moment. He got the snip the other day, so he has a hood on his head. So he's a little bit moody, the mascot, as they say. But he's good. He's getting there.
Shout out to the mascot.
He also came out, and this was an interesting angle. I'm sure it's obviously a setup for WrestleMania as well, where he said he looks more like Eddie Guerrero than he does Rey Mysterio, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I think just when you think this lad can't take it any further than he does, and then he just pushes it out there even further, which is really, really cool.
He's in good company, isn't he? With a veteran at this stage, like our own Finn Balor, like, you know, a man that when given the heel run, as we saw, especially over in Japan, can push the boundaries a little bit. You know, he's definitely around the right people, especially working with the likes of Edge. Then, you know, as the antagonist and whatnot. Great education for him, and I mean, he grew up in the business. You know what I mean? He's going back, I'm sure, watching his dad and his uncles and his whole family, you know, wrestling, and taking those little things that he learned from them and bringing it into the kind of modern era. So I think he's doing great, man. He's a very interesting character for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And evolving all the time. Morris back in. Thoughts on Brock Lesnar's awesome match at Mania. Triple H, great booking. We'll be talking about WrestleMania shortly, Morris. We'll be going through.
Yeah, Morris was on to me today about this as well. Yeah, he had a bit of a rant while I was sitting taking a nice number 2. I got a nice little voice note from Morris today about that one, so it was actually very entertaining.
All I'll say to Morris is thank God we're not going. That's the main thing. Morris back in again. Dominic is the Baron Corbin from a few years back. His father's jockstrap is more useful than him.
No, I was trying to be nice, Morris.
Yeah, we were trying to big up the lad in the business. I suppose it depends on which father you're talking about as well. This is all up in the air at the moment by the sounds of things. But yeah, all good. The Miz has been announced as the host for WrestleMania 39. Not sure what to make of it. I'm sure there'll be some celebrity stuff involved as well, no doubt. But I am a big fan of the Miz. I do like him and stuff like that. And he revealed that he's the host of WrestleMania 39, the Hollywood A-lister. And he says, this will be bigger than the Golden Globes. The Miz continued, it will be bigger than the Oscars. You thought Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith was a big moment. Wait till you see what I have in store for WrestleMania. I thought it was excellent.
Well, I mean, it's tailor-made, isn't it, for someone, whether it be a celebrity or a former wrestler, to come out and give him a whooping of some sort, or, you know what I mean? It's set up for, like, anyone that thinks the Miz is actually going to be hosting the whole show without getting his ass handed to him at some point is you know, in dreamland. But no, I'm the same. The Miz has grown on me over the years. I was, you know, Jesus Christ, if you were building a football team, you'd want a couple of Mizes in there, wouldn't you? Loyal team players. There's the mascot, the boy. But yeah, no, 100%. Well, Niall's fixing up the wee man there.
He wanted the
100%. Yeah, you would want Miz. You would want that mentality on your team. Never injured, always consistent in what they bring. Never going to be your star player, so to speak, but always there and always willing to do what's needed to be done for the team. Like a C-list John Cena in a way. Like what I did there.
Yeah, and he's had it's funny you say that. I mean, he's had a fantastic career in WWE. When you think about where he started with the real world stuff and the way people were taking the absolute mick out of him, they never thought he would amount to anything.
He was the Jake Paul of pro wrestling in a lot of ways, wasn't he? You know? Of
boxing kind of thing. But but just not known. He wasn't really known either, you know. But people know.
Well, I mean, he was from the MTV world. I remember, like, kind of. Now, I agree with you, but in America, they would have known of who he was because he was trying apparently his best to get into every single reality kind of TV thing. But then apparently he was a fairly decent boxer or amateur. No, it wasn't amateur wrestling. I think he was a fairly decent boxer. Apparently, not too sure.
Don't know.
But
I thought you were about to admit that you were a real world fan back then or something like that. I hadn't got a clue. No, absolutely.
Not at that age. Not at that age. At this age, you never know. You could sway me now.
Gotta fill that evening. Gotta fill that
Those
evening during these cold nights.
those Sunday days when you're sitting with the better half and you kind of get him grossed in some of that 90-day fiance shit. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, absolutely. Our friend Dazzler will tell you how big a fan he is of Love Island and stuff like that, and all. You do get
oh well,
roped
yeah,
in,
well,
without a
that's
doubt.
just gay. I'm sorry.
um, Another match that's about to be announced for WrestleMania 39, and we will go through them, of course, but Finn Balor has challenged Edge to a match at WrestleMania 39. This has all the makings of a very, very good match.
Yep.
And I'd have high hopes for this one, as I did last year for the AJ match with Edge, but just didn't deliver. But this one would certainly deliver, but yet to be confirmed. And we'll see. We have a slide to bring up with the matches that will be confirmed and what's in the works at the moment.
I don't want to exactly yet because we actually had a myself and Finn last week had an in-depth not Finn Balor for any of you that are getting too excited. Finn Martin. Maybe at the end of his career we'll actually go back and talk about it. That's for sure. He'll join us at one point. That we're in no doubt about that, shopkeeper. When it's all said and done, but we actually talked about it kind of in depth. And we kind of, I kind of went a bit shopkeeper on him with some of the scenarios on it, which you'll find very entertaining because it's usually you throwing those out. So I was like, I'll be Niall here for a while, and he was kind of shooting them down. No, he wasn't shooting them down. He was kind of saying it as well. But no, I was like straight up, just a straight up wrestling match with maybe some sort of fair play would be good because I think that's what Edge has always wanted too, because he's been scream from the rooftops for Finn for quite a while, to be fair. But we'll get into that when we get onto it, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Morris's concerns here. WrestleMania in Hollywood, literally a month away at the moment, and no stars on the card. Interesting. Trish Stratus returned this week to help Becky Lynch and Lita win the tag belts from Damage Control. Big win. Becky kind of finding herself in there now, and it's a nice place for her to find herself where she's kind of given up that room for the Rheas and the Biancas and stuff like that to go do their thing while she settles into that area there, which I think is kind of cool as well. But it's a cool slant for her as well to be working with Trish and Lita and stuff like that. I'm sure she was massive fans of these girls back in the day, and to be in the ring, sharing the ring was kind of cool.
I was just about to say, I can speak for many of the lads as well, and for Richie, her brother, like, and even talking to the likes of Paddy Morrow and all back in the day, we used to always say, "Oh, Lita, blah blah blah," but like that was just her style because she was a skater chick anyway. You know what I mean, from Temple Bar and whatnot. And seeing that image, you know, with the two of them holding the belt, like because there was elements, obviously, clearly that she was influenced by Lita. Seeing that and going, here's this young 15-year-old girl who had to lie about her age for insurance reasons to go in and follow a dream that has gone now to the stratosphere and literally now is tag team champs with one of the people that you would have idolized. It's absolutely fantastic, and I genuinely from my heart mean that. It's amazing to see. Like it's. You know, it's just fantastic. Fair play to her. Fucking all deserved as well.
Yeah, you look back at Becky's early career, and especially her early career here in Ireland and stuff like that. She very much was in that kind of Lita ilk with those skater trousers and those mesh tops and all that kind of stuff. So she was.
You seen me in a match with her at one point, for fuck's sakes.
There you go. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
I hope she remembers that.
And I assume this is going to end up probably being a six-way. At Mania, no doubt. I'd imagine with Trish interfering and stuff like that. We'll skip the next point because we're going to get into the whole WrestleMania thing and have a quick chat about it and stuff like that. Teddy Long was talking this week about on the Wrestle Binge by Sportskeeda. He was talking about what's the true mark of what makes a great wrestling career. And he said the main thing is longevity. He says if you can get 10 years in the business, a decade in the business, that's a heck of a career. Most people generally don't last that long and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool insight from Teddy Long. Heck of a guy. I met him a few times. Absolute Trojan in there, you know. Really like Teddy Long. Former WWE star Stevie Richards responds to well wishers from his hospital bed. He's taken ill. He's having back and spinal issues at the moment, and they're trying to get to the bottom of it. He's also doing, I think he does a lot of work on the podcast, and I think with Renee, isn't it? Renee Dupree and stuff like that, I think.
I heard a rumor he got a receipt from JBL. I don't know how true that is.
No, that's his buddy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's his buddy. But he put out a post there. He is having back and spinal issues, and he says, "I want to thank everyone for thoughts and prayers." The former ECW tag team champion said in a YouTube video, "It means the world to both of us, my wife and myself. We'll have updates soon. No answers yet." So we wish him well in his recovery, of course, Stevie Richards.
Yeah.
Also,
absolutely.
The man who we love, the man who was so influential back in the day for a number of big stars that came through, the superstar Billy Graham, who we know was hospitalized in early January, went in and originally with an ear infection that moved into the head and caused the cardiac arrest, and he had to be hospitalized. But now we're hearing that he's after being hit now with COVID-19. So we wish superstar Billy Graham well in his recovery as well. We hope everything is all good there and stuff like that.
Yeah, Billy's beating bigger fucking problems than COVID-19. So I've no doubt that he'll kick out of that. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, one of my I wouldn't say fondest memories was the storyline with him back in the day with Jake when he had the hip replacement and he was climbing the mountain on the crutches he traveled them down and he'd be crawling. But they actually showed the footage of the hip operation and all, and that ball joint going into the hip and all. It was really, really cool back in the day. Good insight. Eric Bischoff calls AEW's Tony Khan winning Booker of the Year a joke. I think we spoke about this on a previous show, didn't we? These Wrestling Observer Awards calling Tony Khan the Booker of the Year, which is like, to me, is lunacy altogether.
We called them the Dave Meltzer Lick My Wad Awards. You know what I mean? I think that's what we should really call them. They're fucking pitiful. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know we're trying not to curse as much on this show anymore, but if there's one F-bomb that needs to be thrown there, it's pitiful. And you know what? Just like Dave Meltzer these days, absolutely pitiful. Stupid award. And it's nothing against Tony Khan. Like, that's not a shot at Tony Khan. It's a shot at these imbeciles that just literally, like, please pay me, sir. Can I have some more? It's like, you know, they're like, I don't know.
Do you remember? Isn't it weird the way things change, isn't it? When you think about it. Remember when there was a time like we'd be waiting for the Wrestler Observer Awards to come out and with bated breath, like the PWI 500 and all this kind of stuff and all that. They were really, really cool and stuff like that. But it's when you're getting that so heavily, overly influenced with a kind of a blend of an agenda and stuff like that and all, it really ruins it, really. And to identify Tony Khan as the Booker of the Year it's either you're trying to generate conversation in the wrong way or attract attention in the wrong way, but certainly that would not be the case. I want to round out. I've one other item for you. It looks like unionization has raised its head again. Labour attorney Lucas Middlebrook explains how WWE superstars could challenge their independent contractor status. Apparently, they only need 30% of the roster to sign up to this, and they could proceed with unionization. Now, again, I think we spoke on a number of Podmen episodes about this as well, the pros and the cons of it and stuff like that, and that, like, if you're at a certain level in the company at the moment, like let's say if you're Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar or that level, or you know what I mean, certainly this is not something you'd be interested in, because obviously you're being, dare I say, properly looked after and remunerated for your efforts. But I suppose in terms of protection for people maybe lower down on the roster and stuff like that, maybe it might seem like an idea, but again, it depends who would sign up for it and stuff like that. But it came about as well. This person as well had represented people as well, talking about you know, when they were going through these Twitch bans and stuff like that, Selena Vega was involved and various other people, and they were taking away that she was looking into that as well, saying, well, if you're an independent contractor, surely to God they can't be ruling over what is basically your spare time to earn or whatever you want to do, because you're an independent contractor. And she felt that WWE was overstepping. He felt, I should say, that WWE was overstepping the mark in terms of moving into that whole sort of Twitch and gaming and social media kind of thing in terms of their earning power, because they are independent contractors. And that they shouldn't have a say in that and stuff like that. So some interesting stuff coming out of it, but it's raised its head again. It's one of those things that's been around for a long time, has never really become anything. I still don't expect it to become anything, but it was a nice little insight into it and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Before we get into the history and stuff like that, the history section, let's talk about Wrestlemania, and we have across the top there four matches have been confirmed, with Miz as the host. And then we have some expected matches to be additions and added on. So, of course, we know it's obviously Roman versus Cody Rhodes. We have Bianca versus Asuka. We've Brock versus Omos. And we have Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, the match that I think will probably steal the show. Let me know your thoughts on the four matches confirmed so far, and we spoke already, obviously, about Miz as host.
Yeah, like I'd love to agree with you on Ripley and Charlotte. I just think Edge and Balor has the potential to steal the whole show, and I think Edge is going to be going into it with that in mind. I think Balor's stock is rising again, big time. I know Rhea's has risen, within that whole kind of within the whole little stable. But I think Balor's been doing a smack up, an absolutely fantastic job in kind of allowing her to take a little bit of the light as well. But it shows you that, next in line, she's the number one. And it's actually very well laid out that she's gonna, go in and potentially bring the gold back to the guys. And yeah. But then you've got, I'm sure they're gonna show their head in the Rey Mysterio match as well. I don't know. It could be the end of Judgment Day in a lot of ways, depending on what way Rey Mysterio and Dominic works, because that could end up working out to be done really well, where Dominic sees the light in some way, shape, or form as well. So there's a lot of potential there. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus the Usos, that I'd say that's going to be fantastic as well. So far, yeah, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre, I expect that to be fucking vicious. And then Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul, yeah, I think that's one to watch out for as well, because it's funny when you look at them, they're two very similar sized guys, very similar in kind of agility. I'd say Seth is a lot stronger. Seth is one of the strongest lads on the roster, I'd say. There's some good ones there, and then there's one match I've left out just on purpose because I don't really want to talk about it. I think it's meant to be an attraction now. Is that has Brock become the Andre the Giant of these Mania events, where it's like we bring an attraction in? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Brock's becoming the gatekeeper, is he? The gatekeeper.
The big guy playing poker backstage.
It was kind of a weird one, wasn't it? With this one, and I mean, I suppose I'm not surprised with. I mean, obviously MVP will be involved in this as well, somewhat of the, that kind of evolution of the Hurt Business, if you like, and stuff like that. But I wonder, is this Brock just wanting to test themselves in terms of strength and stuff like that? Because I'd imagine getting this boy up for an F5 is going to look very, very spectacular. I'd imagine on that stage. He's a big dude, and Brock will have his hands full. But I suppose what it does is taking Brock out of that kind of level that he was at. Again, similar to what we spoke about with Becky, kind of not stepping aside, but going in a different direction. Again, it opens up a little bit of space up there on the top of the roster, so you don't have to necessarily give us Brock versus Lashley again, or you don't have to insert Brock into a triple threat in the Cody Rhodes Roman match, or you know what I mean. It's probably, I wouldn't say a spectacular way to go, but it's not the worst way to go, really. And with Brock and WrestleMania, normally has a row at the gorilla position and wants to come out first and stuff like that. So maybe that was the thinking in the booking as well.
I just find it ironic. I find it ironic that you get like almost who like he gets rewarded for that kind of nonsense, and then you have the modern fan who'll say Andre the Giant was actually shite that never watched him in the 70s. You know what I mean? I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me personally. I hope it's a squash and it makes Brock look good. But if I had to make a cup of tea during that, I would have no problem with the kettle boiling too long.
The kettle only might get half boiled by the time this is over. This ain't gonna be. This ain't gonna be a 1 hour or anything like that. This is gonna be like probably 5-10 minutes of entrances for a 5-10 minute match max. I would imagine. Yeah. But it's interesting the way the card is shaping up. As Morris said in the comments, they haven't really, dropped any stars in there at the moment. A lot of people would have been booking this trip on the basis of The Rock maybe being involved, and that may or may still happen, or Austin or something like that. It is in Hollywood, so we'd imagine there is talk as well that John Cena might be coming back to face Austin Theory, A-Town. So that would be interesting. That would be kind of one that would garner my interest. I mean, I'm a fan of Theory and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to see what John Cena kind of comes back, So that could be kind of interesting. And it would elevate Theory's stock as well, going in there with a guy like John Cena as well. And maybe he might be the guy that they inject in there in terms of Hollywood. Just a shout out to everyone as well. I had a look at I watched that Knock at the Cabin the other day with Batista. It's the weirdest movie ever. I don't know if you've got to see it yet. I won't spoil it for anyone or talk about it. But it's up there and it is weird. There's no.
How was his performance in it?
His performance was fine in it, but it's just I don't think it's as much as performance. It's like as if, and no disrespect to whoever put it together, but you know the way, especially when we talk pro wrestling, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. With this, like you get shot straight into the middle. You don't get a lot of detail on the back storyline, and before you know it, you're at the end. So it's like so it kind of felt to me like I enjoy those kind of movies, but it felt to me like a badly booked match. But I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed him in a different role. So if anyone gets a chance, check it out. It's definitely worth a watch, but it's definitely something different. But yeah, check it out. I checked it out there last week. Probably when you watch it, actually, you might do a review on it. Maybe get Greg and the boys on the slab. Maybe it might be a good one for them to watch actually, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
the link with the teeth and stuff be pretty cool. No? So yeah, that's how it's kind of shaping up at the moment. Nothing is telling me to pack my case and get to the airport and head to LA. There's nothing jumping off the page. I'm sure some of the matches will deliver and stuff like that. Obviously, Cody and Roman's going to be a big deal. And there's some other ones in there. If they do go with the 6 women one, Damage Control versus Trish, Lita, and Becky, that will be kind of cool to see the 3 of them working together. Yeah. Logan will obviously deliver because he's just a lunatic. And that lariat he has is pretty cool, making professional wrestlers look a bit silly in terms of the way that he can do it.
And of course, like you can't have 2 Logan L's, in the space of a couple of months, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone else caught the promo for WrestleMania, Rollins as the Joker with Becky is outstanding. The way they put together, we seen it there last week as a promo, absolutely brilliant. As you said, the tag match at the top there, I'm really looking forward to that. The Usos versus Zayn and Owens will be cool. Interesting to see how that goes. I wonder could we get a swerve on one side of that, but very interesting. Lashley versus Bray Wyatt. That's one I don't know. I think they keep on trying to raise Lashley's stock, but they keep on faltering in the way that they're doing it. And I just
they just don't know how to protect people like him. I'm actually interestingly Bailey, who doesn't always need the rub, to be fair, but Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky could really get the rub in this match, to be fair. Especially going in against legends like Lita and Trish, and then, of course, Becky in there as well, who is a legend in her own right. I mean, she's a bigger star. When it all goes down, she's a bigger star than any of them. But that'll be, I expect that to be pretty entertaining. as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't Bailey be kind of cool if they went down the Orton road with her, like that legend killer thing, and they did it just for the female wrestlers?
Yeah,
So she was taking out
definitely.
Trish, taking out Lita, maybe bring back Ivory, Molly Holly, and a
Yeah,
few others. And that'd be pretty cool actually to run that back again and put that through again. Be pretty cool. But
definitely.
that's your update at the moment for WrestleMania 39. I will add to it each week as things get confirmed, stuff like that, and we can continue the conversation on the weekly show.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into our history. Sean's in first. We'll take some comments first. Great big. What about you, fellas? All good, Sean. How are you, my brother? The big man stunk out the building last year and gets rewarded with Lesnar. 30-second squash for Lesnar. I don't know. I tell you, forget about the big man stinking out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fairness, Lesnar and Roman didn't set the world alight either with that quick ending due to injury, I think it was, and stuff like that. Nice of Vince to bring back the Firefly Funhouse last week. Oh, good Lord. What did we do to deserve that? Let's talk some history.
To remind us.
Oh God, it's just, you can just imagine Lashley in the ring and we're getting any of this holographic crap and stuff like that. And it is Hollywood, it is LA, it is the Sophie Stadium, and we're going, anything can happen. Crazy. Let's start then. 1986, Dick Slater defeated Jake Roberts in Houston, Texas to win the Mid-South Television Championship. Quality match, I would imagine. Dick Slater, what a worker he was. 2000. In one of the more infamous skits on Monday Night Raw history, this week happened back in 2000. Mae Young gave birth to the hand, purported to be the offspring of her and Mark Henry. Good Lord, 2000 this week. I have to say, this week is quite a sad week. As I said to you earlier, I don't know what it is with the number of people in hospital and stuff like that, but also with the number of wrestlers that passed away, so bear with me on this one. It's just, that's the way it was. 1998, ECW Living Dangerously took place at the Asbury Park Convention Center in New Jersey. I love all those old names for those convention centers. They're so cool, aren't they? Steeped in history. But the highlight of the card,
dangerously, poly dangerously, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
The highlight of the card saw the hometown boy Bam Bam Bigelow. How could we forget Bam Bam? Defeated Taz to win the ECW Television Championship. What a match that would have been! Bam Bam versus Taz.
I remember it. That was the match, I believe, where Taz got his head squashed when he threw him out, when he done the suplex, and he got his head squashed on the guardrail.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Do you remember that one? He done I think it was a belly to back suplex or a T-bone, and basically his head got stuck between Bam Bam's body and the guardrail. So Taz was a badass.
Yeah, absolutely. 1997 again. Speaking of buildings, and I hate the way they've torn them down and stuff like that. WCW Monday Nitro was held at the Omni in Atlanta. The Omni, steeped in history, Georgia. This was the last wrestling event to ever take place at the spiritual home of WCW and previously Jim Crocker Promotions and Georgia Championship Wrestling. It was demolished 4 months later, and I've spoken on the show a number of times. When I went to WrestleMania 25 in Houston, it was in the new building right beside the Astrodome, and the Astrodome was just crumbling into the ground with chicken wire fence all around it. And so sad to see those buildings with such history.
Horrible.
This week, back in 2010, and the timing of this isn't great either, when we just did a show on Leap and Lanny Poffo passing away. But Angelo Poffo, the father of Randy Savage and Lanny Poffo, passed away at the age of 75. This week is his anniversary. 2010 he passed away. Sadly, 13 years on. We lost.
Yeah, it's good to know that that's three boys that'll make the skies a little bit stronger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 2019, former WrestleMania headliner. We spoke about him on the Podman a couple of times. What a drop his career took, let's say. But the great King Kong Bundy passed away at the age of 62. If you remember, he was the main event at Mania 2 in the cage match with Hogan. And then the following year at WrestleMania 3, he was in a tag match with a couple of little people. What a drop his career had over the space of the year.
Little people. You mean the midgets?
They're known now as little people.
Oh, well, I'm talking about back then because that's
Oh
what
yeah,
you're going
back
to hear
then.
so
Yeah,
much.
we could teleport ourselves. Yeah, absolutely. 2013, William Paul Bearer Moody passed away as a result of a heart attack. The Undertaker's long-term manager passed away in his hometown of Mobile, Alabama, at the age of 58. So yeah, we have a few here. 1970, Freddie Blassie. We only spoke about him, I think, on the show 2 weeks ago. You have the
Yeah.
shirt. Defeated Rocky Johnson to win the NWA America's Heavyweight title in Los Angeles, California. There's a match they could show clips from as a build up to Mania this year in LA. Pretty cool. Freddie Blassie versus Rocky Johnson. 2004, Mr. Intensity himself, Ray Fernandez, better known to us as Hercules, died as a result of a heart failure, aged only 46. Very, very sad. But if there was ever a man with intensity, we remember the chains, we remember the match with Billy Jack Haynes and all that kind of good stuff. Crazy. Pivotal as well, part of the Heenan family as well. 2007, former WWE and Stampede Wrestling star Alan Koesch, Bad News Brown, Bad News Alan, died of heart failure at the age of 63. Talking about a man who lived the gimmick and a man who could deliver one of the most intense promos you'd ever see.
One of the most intense, I think, a world judo champion as well. A man who actually challenged Andre the Giant to a fight because Andre apparently said something a little bit untoward on the bus. Let's just say, and he stopped. Bad News Alan stopped the bus and said, "Get out and fight me." It didn't happen. And many people can verify that.
Yeah, I always remember his eyes. Remember the intensity in his eyes. His eyes used to nearly come out of his head and stuff like that. And it was
legitimate badass.
I think he went in, didn't he go into a storyline as well at one stage with Killer Khan? Remember Killer Khan came in with Fuji?
Yeah.
And I think he went into that storyline. And of course, we remember all the crazy stuff with Piper as well, which was, part of our shoot. Yeah, crazy. Let's drop some notable birthdays here. We have some interesting ones this week. Masato Tanaka, 1973, celebrates his birthday this week. Of course, Norman Smiley, 1965. Norman, I think, is still working in the Performance Center as far as I know, isn't he? He's a coach and stuff like that. And all that. Absolutely. The Dragon himself, Ricky Steamboat, 1953. Still going strong, thank God. Love Ricky Steamboat. An unusual one, 1939, The Missing Link. Interesting. Thought I'd pop that one in there. 1986, the man who's recovering from the broken neck at the moment, Mr. Power of Positivity and Pancakes himself, Big E, celebrates his birthday this week. Hope he's feasting on those pancakes and on the road to recovery. And a man who I'm a big fan of, 1983, the man Davey Richards. What a wrestler he is. If you liked Benoit, you liked Eddie, and you liked Dynamite Kid, Davey Richards is the man for you. A man who we spoke about on last week's show, Never Away from Controversy. We spoke about the rail with Batista and stuff. Booker T, 1965, celebrates his birthday this week. Along with a man who I was a big fan of, tagging with Trevor Murdoch at the time, but sadly passed away very young, Lance Cade, 1981. And we rounded out with Mr. Tell Whipper himself from 1971, a year older than me. Hello, ladies. Mr. Val Venus rounds this week's notable birthdays. That's everything I have for you. Yeah.
Love absolutely. It. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Let's get some comments in before we round up the show. That's brilliant.
Absolutely. Morris in. Nice events to bring back. We did that one already. I mean, the Firefly Funhouse. We didn't have to click on it twice. They want to do another sponsored match at Mania this year, similar to that Mountain Dew garbage at the Rumble. Oh, God. Maybe they might do a proper 12 whiskey one or something like that. It might work out a little bit better. That Mountain Dew one was just wasn't for me anyway. I know some people said it was okay and they enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it.
Maybe I should go back to Stamford Bridge for WrestleMania this year.
Good
maybe I do need to go and see a bit of Potter.
Yeah, this it might be better viewed on your phone than on the big screen. Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean? I know I
absolutely.
brought the laptop over last year. It was smart.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh, I
Um,
brought the laptop over in the bag and everything.
very good. So that rounds it out.
There's
Quick
no
show this
messing
week.
around.
As Ian said earlier, he will be dropping the episode Finley Martin that he recorded last week. Always a very interesting guy of Power Slam fame, of course, and stuff like that. Highly educated in pro wrestling. It's been his livelihood for years. Morris back in. Potter should be able to afford a lot of money in the bank tickets soon. I don't know, Morris. Even with his payoff, he might be able to afford them. I was looking at them again today. €450 for the nosebleeds. For the nosebleeds. These are £70 retail tickets. 450.
I prefer, you know, the yin to the yang. I prefer them to call I prefer to call them, should I say, the Stevie Wonder section, because you can't
Yeah,
see shit. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like
Apparently the O2 is pretty good though. Apparently the O2 does not a bad scene in it. Apparently,
good, good.
it only
That
holds
is good. Well,
only
yeah,
holds 20,000 though. Only holds
it was
20,000.
organized in the same vein as our own O3 arena, as we call it was the O2 arena at one point.
Yeah,
I think we're 13 and they're 20.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Pretty much.
should be pretty much within the same. They've organized it like an egg, you know what I mean? So that it's very
Yeah,
hard to kind of have a bad view, whether you're standing watching a gig or whether you're sitting watching a
yeah.
boxing event, which we'll
Yeah, see,
probably have.
Ticketmaster's gone a bit crazy, hasn't it? Because they're doing these market value things now. They're using that as an algorithm for their pricing of tickets now. So
Mm.
literally, you could go and buy a ticket for £70. I could pay £300, and we're sitting right beside each other. It's crazy,
Yeah, 100%,
crazy,
100%.
crazy.
It
I
is.
even
It's
seen
madness.
Morris even identified platinum tickets, 10 rows from the back.
Oh
Platinum
yeah,
ticket,
yeah,
10 rows from the
100%.
back. It's crazy.
We booked tickets to the Always Sunny podcast,
Mm.
and it turns out one of the girls that I know had booked one as well. Paid I think 30 quid more than us. Yeah, it was the same price 2 minutes before that because she got timed out,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden she was 3 rows back, and I was like, that's just the look of the draw at the moment. It's just the way the world's gone.
Yeah, we'd guys beside us at Clash at the Castle who paid £195 for tickets. Morris is telling us here as well the Katie Taylor fight is off. Apparently, the opponent got injured, didn't she, in training or something like that? Did I read that this evening? Serrano,
Pussy.
is it? Serrano. Yeah, apparently.
Amanda Serrano, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
apparently she.
that's probably gives them a little bit more time as well to kind of get through all the little bits and pieces that they need to do for that Croker fight if they want to, or for
It'll
for the
probably be
three arena
later in the
stuff.
year. I'd say they'll have to find a stand in. They need to keep her active, don't they?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
important to keep
But
her active.
nice live news there from Morris. Fair play, thanks,
Yeah,
Morris.
Morris on the ball as always. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a little bit disappointed now because I was gonna get a ticket regardless, but
Yeah.
there we go. That'd be nice. But look, it's a perfect way to end the show. It's been absolutely fantastic once again. It is still the build up to WrestleMania, so we will be bringing you these type of shows now for the next couple of weeks until we get to the big day, and we should know more, hopefully, as bigger names arrive. We're still looking for that Austin news, aren't we? Because that boy has been training, so. There's plenty of more to come. I'm sure there's plenty more to come. They're not going to show their hand all in one go. But look, until next week, be sure to like the page, subscribe to the show, subscribe to the page, and smash the bell notification button. And until we see you next week, for me and the shopkeeper, we are over and out.